Good afternoon. It's McCollum on Business. I'm Stephen McCollum, and for the next 30 minutes or so here on this Monday, I'm going to get you updated on what's happened over the weekend. Of course, we're going to do the Market Watch. We're going to take a look at stories that national and local that you need to know. Look at the short week here with the stock market as Thanksgiving holiday comes up on this Thursday. So obviously markets are closed Thursday and Friday. We'll be off then. It's going to be open a half day on Wednesday. We're playing it by ear right now. We're definitely going to be here Monday and Tuesday this week. Wednesday, we'll see if there's any major breaking news, but I don't think there's going to be. So we're probably going to take this show off on Wednesday as well. But we'll kind of keep it open to go. Planning on being off unless you hear an announcement as well out there. Of course, the main event will be here Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday this week as well before we take that Thanksgiving holiday off. So with that news out there, let's get started with that Market Watch. Kind of AI rebound, I guess you can say, here on this Monday. And as the week goes on, there'll be less and less volume trading. So the numbers will move a little bit slower. They might have some big movement here, but lesser volume. But today, Dow Jones right now up 241 points. It's at 46,547. S&P 500's at 94 points up to 6708. The Nasdaq's up 585 points to 22,858. That's for the Nasdaq. The Russell 2K small cap index up 30 points today. 2413 is what that's trading at. Now, a little bit of a rebound, if you will, from Bitcoin. It was trading in the 80,000 range on Friday. Over the weekend, kind of got up into the 85,000 range, 88,222. And I've been looking into what's going on with Bitcoin here and who's selling. Why is so much money being taken out of Bitcoin? Don't forget, October 8th, I think it was trading at 125,000. A couple of weeks ago, it was still in the 101,000 range. And so major out there, and that'll be our first story here coming up, is Bitcoin here, but 88,302 right now. Stocks we're paying attention to today, Novo Nordisk right now as well. Been a tough day for these guys. Now, they were down over 10% earlier today. Novo Nordisk, obviously the GLP-1 drug specifically, but this is a Danish pharmaceutical company, if you didn't know where they're based out of. But they came out and they announced that their trial for the Alzheimer's disease, well, that drug failed to meet the mainline goal of slowing down Alzheimer's progression out there. So this stock today, with the trial drug failing, this stock today taking the major hit. Down 10% earlier today, 5.73% down right now. Novo Nordisk has a drug that has failed the final testing phase here. Not a good sign for that when the hopes were on a new drug out there. So Novo Nordisk down 5.72% right now. And now let's look at Tesla here. Their CEO, Elon Musk, you know him as well. He put out on X, this stock is up 7.23% here today. Elon Musk said the company is close to finalizing its latest artificial intelligence chip. They call it the A16 is what that chip is. I'm sorry, A15 is what the chip is called right now. They're starting to work on A16, the next generation of that chip as well. So obviously that means Tesla's up 7.19% today with that announcement as well. Musk did say Tesla's goal is to bring a new AI chip designed to volume production every 12 months. That's where you get the A15 going into A16 design. So in theory, there should be an A17, right, next year in 12 months. That's what's driving this stock up. It was overnight and after market trading, it was up about 2%. And you can see it's just grown as the day's gone on. 7.11% up right now for Tesla. And then you've got Alphabet out there next up for them. Parent company of Google, Waymo, etc. 5.64% up right now. They were kind of up and down throughout the day, but it's been up all day long. Well, Alphabet was the only Magnificent Seven stock that was positive last week. That's why we're looking at it here today. All those other Magnificent Sevens, all down last week. And the reason why? Well, the main reason why Alphabet launched that latest AI model last week. That was the Gemini 3 that they put out. And that's driven this Magnificent Seven stock as the only one positive last week. Starting off today, positive as well, 5.58% up right now for Alphabet. When we come back later on and do our final look at the market watch here on this Monday, we're going to look at Oscar Health. We're going to look at another healthcare company, Centene, as well. These are healthcare stocks specifically available on the ACA, right? The Obamacare exchange out there. We'll take a look at those stocks here. With right the big debate right now is those subsidies and some news on that. So these stocks we'll take a look at. Then we'll look at a local car company, right? Used car dealer online as well. Carvana is what we'll look at later on coming up also. But I told you, first story of the day is going to be around Bitcoin. As I've just kind of been looking into what is causing this Bitcoin, we knew big institutional investors were selling their Bitcoin profits, things like that. Does that mean there's an underlying current that there's a problem with the cryptocurrencies, etc.? People were moving out of risky investments over the last couple of weeks, which Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are considered risky, right? And now we have numbers here. Investors have pulled $3.5 billion from U.S. listed Bitcoin ETFs so far just in November. 3.5 billion in 1 month. And the month's not even over yet. That basically is equaling the previous monthly record for outflows. That was 3.6 billion. That was set back in February of this year as well. So we get this information from Bloomberg, is where they calculated all that data out there. For instance, BlackRock's Bitcoin fund, IBIT, well, that accounts for about 60% of the assets there. Well, it's registered $2.2 billion in redemptions in November. So they pulled out $2.2 billion just by itself in that BlackRock fund as well. So that means the slump will take Bitcoin to its worst month here, obviously, in sell-offs in a long time. Now, that also pertains to if there's not a big buying spurge coming up here with what week or so to go left here, or actually 1 week left to go in the month of November, which there won't be over the Thanksgiving holiday. So the outflows, the losing of this money, it comes with Bitcoin set for the worst monthly performance since the crypto industry collapse of 2022. If you remember back in that cryptocurrency collapse, well, a lot of corporate failures were going on, but obviously FTX, that was the year FTX failed, and obviously people got rid of cryptocurrencies with that failure of FTX. The wider crypto market, well, it's contracted sharply in recent weeks, and that's despite all the policy wins that they've gotten here in the U.S. with President Trump, as president as well. So that's the interesting thing. They've gotten some relaxation. Some government stuff is able to buy into cryptocurrencies, and still we're getting these large sell-offs right now. As I said earlier, Bitcoin was trading this morning about 85,951. We just showed you it's up to 88,000 as of right now. So this morning when the markets open, that's what they was trading at, the 85,000. But if you look at it, it's still down 8% year to date. That was at that 85,000 number. It's down 8%. Bitcoin's down 8% for the year, folks. And this is an interesting stat here that they figured out about Bitcoin specifically. For every $1 billion that is pulled outside of Bitcoin's ETFs, well, prices see a roughly 3.4% drop. So for every 1 billion, which is a lot of money, I get it, right? But there's a 3.4% drop in the stock. You don't get that volatility in a lot of other things out there as well. So obviously that'd be true in reverse as well. For every $1 billion that's bought, well, you see the prices there go up for Bitcoin about 3.4% as well. So the institutional guys pulling their money out here of Bitcoin. And I did see also, and doing some research on this and looking into this over the weekend, a lot of people have a Bitcoin closing the year at $88,000 or $90,000. So well below that 100,000 level, 120,000 level that it was trading at for some times to finish out this year. So just give you some ideas on the Bitcoin as we're seeing that big fluctuates. Because look, whether you believe in Bitcoin, you don't understand it, whatever your feelings are on it, look, it's a big mover here on this market, right? And there's a lot of money involved in it. And if people are pulling money out of Bitcoin, they're going to put it someplace. So they're going to make other stocks go up. Something to keep in mind here as we deal with that as well. They're going to keep it as cash here in this environment. It's another side of it you have to look at, right? And you got the Thanksgiving holiday coming up. Later on in the show, we have the local numbers here on what Thanksgiving is going to cost you. Last week, we gave you the national one, so that'll be later on in the show. But one thing we know for sure, right, you want to get away from turkey a little bit, Beef prices, as we know, they've climbed to record highs. We've talked about it a lot here at McCollum on Business. And us as Americans, I buy it every time I go to the store still. I buy chicken as well. But we Americans keep buying them. Keep buying the raw meat, keep buying the steaks out there, the ground beef as well. Economists say that the deep-rooted demand is helping drive prices higher, and there's little sign that prices are going to ease anytime soon. Don't forget there's a lot of things involved, right? Low cattle herds right now are driving those prices higher as well. But obviously, if we keep the demand up, prices are going to stay up on these products. According to USDA data now, the average price of beef in grocery stores it climbed from about $8.40 per pound in March. It's at $9.18 per pound by August of this year. That's about a 9% increase over that March to August period. Americans, though, still buying more and more of it, actually. It's not that you're even staying level, we're buying more meat. In 2024, shoppers spent over $40 billion on fresh beef. That made up more than half of all fresh meat sales. That's according to the Beef Research. They're a contractor to the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. Industry analysts of this specific sector, they say that while beef supplies are expected to get even tighter here at the end of 2025, prices, well, they could continue to climb higher because of the demand and the fact that supply is getting tighter, even still with everything going on out there. So you're continuing to buy meat. Look, I'm guilty of it as well. And It's something we're just dealing with, right? In those prices, I don't even look at the prices anymore. Just give me what you got, and let's move on with our lives, right? So interesting enough, as I said, we're going to look at Carvana's stock here coming up next time we look at the stocks out there. But if you're shopping for a car, right, Christmas is coming up. Maybe you need to buy a car for a loved one out there for a Christmas gift, etc. Well, you're going to go in and get some sticker shock out there, especially if you haven't bought a car in several years as well, because car prices are trending up again, and the average cost of a new car is actually at an all-time high. It's almost to the $50,000 mark per average, and that'll be for the first time we're at that level. The average transaction price for a new vehicle just in October, $49,105. From data from Edmunds. There is where we get that figure. So it's a year-over-year increase of 3.1% in increase on car pricing. Average monthly payments on new vehicles, we've talked about this multiple times here at McCollum on Business. Well, we know the October monthly payment numbers on average. Well, it's a similar increase of 3.2% from a year ago. Makes it about $766 per month in car payments as the average right now on new cars. Interest rates, well, they have ticked slightly lower over the last few weeks as well. The average APR declined from 7%, barely went down in October to 6.9%, but any zero point 0.1 percentage point helps there as well. There's been a noticeable downward trend with interest rates on new auto loans below 7%. And it's the first time we've seen this since last December, right? So 2024 December. But car shoppers with a 6-year-old car likely had a loan that was around 4% or even 5%. So any new auto loan that you get will be noticeably more expensive to finance. So obviously, cars being more expensive, higher interest rates. That's where you're getting that average $766 car payment right now. Auto dealers have increased the average discount available to buyers. Those have been offered very modest relief here in the pricing. Yeah, the average discount was $1,985 in January. Well, it hit its highest level of the year to date at $2,262 in June, and it was $2,240 just in October as well. So the discounts are getting less. Like I bought my EV there back in was it May, and just absolute incentives everywhere. It took a car that MSRP, which I don't always believe MSRP, was close to 60,000. I walked out around 41,000 after the negotiation and all the rebates involved on that car. So those days look like they're gone here, right? As we're dealing with that and these car payments. And I paid cash for the car, thank goodness, because the car payment would have been astronomical with the interest rates right now as well. And it's I'll pay myself back with the monthly car payment as opposed to giving that interest to somebody else out there. And so be prepared for sticker shock if a new car is in your future. And Now, this is something interesting to me. Now, we're going to go to the state of Ohio, which obviously has nothing to do with us in Arizona per se. But I find this fascinating, and we might see more, right? More and more places aren't accepting cash. And they're not accepting cash. They want everything in credit cards. They pay the fees out there. Some places only accept cards and then charge you a 3% markup if you use your card, which I think is ridiculous. But over in Ohio, things are changing, right? There soon could be shopping like in the old days out there. Legislatures are trying to pass a currency access to spend here bill, which, if you look at the acronyms, cash, I love how creative they get on these things. It's going to require businesses and government offices to accept cash for payments up to $500. The bill will require businesses and government entities to provide at least one point of sale location that does accept cash. Additionally, it does ban them from charging those using cash for a transaction a higher price than those using other payment methods. Now, the stores will say, well, now we have to go to the bank, our costs are higher because we have to go to the bank, we have to store the money, etc. When it's actually they're saving money because they're not getting those credit card fees on top of everything, right? You should offer discounts if people pay cash, in my opinion. So this is going to affect the large retailers and small ones, but right, Target, Walmart, Costco, for instance, well, they've all moved more toward the self-checkout methods out there. So they often don't accept cash, those self-checkouts. So this could mean some major changes to their strategies out there. But doesn't mean you're going to hire more people to handle the cash. No, you can get those self checkout stands to accept cash and stuff like that as well. The rule there in California, or the law that might come into law if it's voted in, favored to move in. By the way, that's why we're talking about this. But it says the point of sale can be automated or operated by a person. So they will allow the self checkout to be there. And I find that fascinating that Ohio has to make a law to accept cash for people out there. And that's fascinating to me that you have to make a law for that, to be honest with you. But that's where we stand. I've started paying cash. COVID, nobody wanted to deal with cash, and I respected that. So I paid by card. But now I've started to move back to cash. You'd be surprised how some people react when you hand them like a $10 bill instead of charging your money out there. It is kind of interesting to watch perspectives happen when you do that, and it's amazing to watch. Yeah, it is. Now, so that's a fascinating law there. And if you're renting or if you're owning a house, a little story on the two, but this was more geared renting, but I do have some homeowner numbers in here as well. And as we know, it hasn't been easy to be a renter in the last 5 years. Rentals pricing surged in the aftermath of the pandemic, and they went so big it was going way faster than wage growth was, and renting became more and more and more of your take home pay just disappearing into that rent. But renters, well, it's a small win. And I see this. I have some rental properties, and rents are definitely going down to get people into them. And I didn't raise my rents high like a lot of people did. I kept them modest and in there to keep people in the places and not have an effect on their life as much as what my strategy was with my management company. But we do see rents are falling here, not just in Arizona, but across the country. Medium monthly rental on units with up to two bedrooms. Well, it fell 1.7% year over year in October, fell down to $1,696 at the point. That was over $2,000 over this big inflationary time period we were in. We get that number from Realtor.com. But now they're down about 3.6% from that 2022 peak for the rental prices. That's for the two bedrooms rentals that you're looking at. Those lower prices are a win for many renters. And in some cases, they're an incentive to actually keep renting longer and not buy a house, which is affecting the housing market as well. Rents are falling. The cost of homeownership that has continued to climb. That's kind of the trade-off, right, for us homeowners out there. Mortgage rates obviously being above the 6%. The near record home prices are, to buy a house is causing that up there as well. And that's keeping affordability not just impossible for a lot, but if you are able to get one, it makes your finances kind of strained now when there's relief on the rental side, right? But then you have the hidden costs of home ownership that nobody talks about. The taxes, insurance is going high on homes right now as well and has been out for the last several years. Insurance is the biggest scam on the planet, to be honest with you. But even maintenance are big out there. I just had to go and buy a new washer for my clothes this weekend, and just adds and adds up as you keep working here with your appliances, etc. Right? An analysis from Zillow and Thumbtack, well, they estimated hidden costs alone for homeowners. They've climbed to nearly $16,000 a year on average. Yeah, that's an additional $1,325 a month. That's on top of your mortgage payment. And if you're getting a house, a high priced house, and a 6% mortgage, your mortgage price is already through the roof, and now add another $1,300 on top of it for the maintenance side and those hidden costs of things as well. So rents coming down means less people want to buy houses. CBRE calculates the current median premium to own a home at 106%. That's versus renting. So it's 100%, 108% more expensive to own a home than to rent right now as well, according to CBRE. And they use that by renting in a multifamily building, is what they talk about as well. So the monthly cost of a mortgage payment, taxes, insurance, and maintenance are more than double the cost of renting right now on average out there. So, look, if you make renting to where people are comfortable, can afford it, and they don't want to move into a house, well, you're not going to get out of this housing issue that we have right now as well. So if you are renting, well, some good news for you there. And, if you want to buy a house, you just kind of patience is kind of the key right now out there as well as we go into this Thanksgiving weekend. And, folks, when we come back here at McCollum on Business, we keep it rolling. We'll take a look at the movies in the box office out there. Yeah, Wicked for Good came out this weekend, and woo, did it make some numbers out there? We'll talk about the box office and, of course, a couple local stories for you. We have an update on that downtown historical house bill, quote unquote, right? Where they're going to be able to raise some historical houses and put some duplexes in those land. People were fighting it. We got an update on that, and a little bit more for you coming up as well. So come on back. It's McCollum on Business. And we're back here, McCollum on Business. You saw the ad for the main event. Well, Monday shows in the can. A lot of talk about just football today, right? Football Monday, Cardinals specifically in that second hour. A lot of high school stuff with the playoffs going on. In the first hour, Suns a little bit. Bruce Cooper joins us tomorrow on Tuesday. So a lot of that local talk, Suns, ASU. Suns happening tomorrow with Bruce Cooper as well. That show today is in the can, as they say in the business, up on the free YouTube page right now. Check it out on demand right now. Podcast system as well. Your favorite podcast system at TME Sports Show pops right up for you out there. Then, of course, here at Robat TV as well, on demand for you. And then you saw this show, as soon as we get done here, on demand on the YouTube page. That's free, of course, here at Robat TV as well. For this show, no podcast for this show, but it is up visually there for you. The pit stop is on hiatus. We have a couple planned shows coming up based off of lawsuits and news there. The Las Vegas Grand Prix on Saturday night was a dud. Just the F1 racing is just non-competitive and kind of a snoozer. But it was interesting watching them race through Las Vegas for the third year in a row. But we'll do shows. Right, big lawsuit coming up on December 1st. We'll do some shows on that, but it'll get back underway coming end of January, beginning of February, as the racing season starts to kick off for IndyCar as well as NASCAR as well. But those shows are up on the YouTube page on demand here at Robat TV. And of course, free podcast for that as well. And you can join me on social media there as well at the Pit Stop Talk is where you can find the pit stop as well around your racing needs out there. And then you saw the ad there for The Real Matrix. 9 episodes are up on Robat TV. Just go to the homepage, click on channels, and you'll see The Real Matrix on there. 9 episodes are there for you. The Angry Patriot wants to open your mind to the government and the world out there. So if that's stuff that you're interested or might be interested in, check it out there, Robat TV on demand on the YouTube page as well. And then it does have its own podcast out there as well. Just search The Real Matrix on your favorite platform. You'll see it pop up for you. No show this week because it's Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So you have 9 episodes to get caught up on if you haven't caught any of them yet out there. And then we'll get it rolling again here next Wednesday with new episodes coming your way here of The Real Matrix. And, it's a fun little show, whether you believe it, you don't. It's just informative. He doesn't preach at you. He doesn't tell you how things are. He just gives you the information and lets you decide. And he says, come in with an open mind is all he's asking of you guys to do there. The Angry Patriot is. So definitely check that out. So no new one this week. Catch up on last week's and on the 9 first episodes out there, folks. YouTube free, podcast system, or of course here, Robat TV as well. And with all that being said, let's get right back into the Market Watch. As the week goes on, we're going to expect a lot of lower volume. Obviously, the market's only major days open fully is Monday and Tuesday. I have to double check it, but I do think it's open Wednesday, but it's an early close day. So Wednesday, I think we're not going to do a show here. We're definitely off Thursday and Friday. Wednesday, we might do one if a major news breaks. So plan on no on Wednesday. Plan on us enjoying that holiday and coming back on Monday, December 1st. But if something breaks, we'll announce it, of course, and get it out here. But definitely today and tomorrow here in the main event is Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of this week. And you see the Dow is well up today, 210 points. The S&P 500 is up 89 points. The Nasdaq's up 592 right now. And then the Russell 2K is up 28 points for that small cap index. Bitcoin, as we talked about with that story earlier on what's happening with it and the big sell-off, $3.5 billion removed from Bitcoin ETFs here just in the month of November. 88.273 is what, or 88,274 is what it's trading at. Right now, was down at 80,000 Friday, moved up to 85 over the weekend, and opened up this morning at 85, up to 88 here today for Bitcoin. And, like I said earlier on that story, I saw some people predicting that this is the level of Bitcoin's going to close at this year, 88, 90,000. I've seen a kind of a mix between there. Going to have to keep our eye on this because they definitely got some eased regulations for this money to go down and people pulling their money out of Bitcoin here as we go. Stocks we're paying attention to right now. First ones we're going to look at is kind of 2 healthcare companies. First one is Oscar Health. Now, Oscar Health and then the other one, Centene, will show this graph in just a minute. These are 2 healthcare companies specifically created and on the ACA, government platform there for you to get if you're looking for health insurance and you have to use the Affordable Care Act to do it. Well, we're looking at these stocks, and look, you see Oscar Health is up huge today, 20.70% up for it. Well, Politico reported that the White House will include a 2-year extension of the Affordable Care Act subsidies due to expire at the end of January. These are the ones where if you qualify for it, if your premium's $600, you'll get to qualify for some discounts out of it. Those are those subsidies that we are talking about here. There's a big part of that government shutdown, a big talking point there. So the Trump administration is going to set new limits on eligibility, making it a little bit harder to become eligible as well. So that's why Oscar Health on that ACA, 20.03% up today right now. Centene's another one on there, also up today as well as we look at that, 5.64% up here for Centene. From what I was reading, Oscar Health is the biggest healthcare company in terms of, no, these are subsidies of bigger companies, just to let you know, right? But Centene, I mean, Oscar Health is the biggest one there on the ACA, is what I was reading in terms of volume and people signing up for them if you need those services. So they're getting good news today with the possibility of a 2-year extension of those subsidies. And that's why both of those stocks are up today. And then let's look at Carvana, the local company. We told you about new car pricing. It's record highs in terms of selling points. Mortgage payments for cars are through the roof at that $766. Carvana's up today as well, 5.88%. Of course, mainly used cars here with Carvana, locally company here as well. They added this 5.88% today because Woodbrush upgraded Carvana to outperform. It was at perform before, is what they rated it at. Wedbush said the drop of around 13% over the last month. So 13% drop in this stock is what's happened to it over the last month. Well, Wedbush says that stock, that drop there is overdone, and the stock has limited downside going forward. So Wedbush has a lot of confidence here in the Carvana stock here after this dip that they've had over the last month. So local company up today, 5.88% here for Carvana as well. So let's talk a little box office here going into the holidays. We've got some big movies coming still here, the remaining of this year. But over the weekend, Wicked for Good, that was the second part of the Wicked story. Of course, last year, part one, it came out as well. Well, no surprise, Wicked for Good, nailed the number one spot here over the weekend box office. Came in at $150 million domestically, $226 million worldwide for that second movie there as well. Here's the interesting part. It does what rarely happens in Hollywood. Yes, the second part of this movie, it's outpacing, the first Wicked that came out last year. It only opened to $114 million domestically last year. So the second part of it, outpacing the first part. That's a rare thing to have happen. One, and then two, this was the pre-Thanksgiving weekend where it was released. Kind of a dead time around movies as well. So obviously, Wicked is a musical fantasy film, retelling the story there of the wonderful Wizard of Oz. It became the second highest domestic opener of just this year in 2025. Well, what was first? Yeah, that live action, a Minecraft movie was number one. That is $162.75 million. And they were ahead of Disney's Lilo and Stitch that came out. That was $146 million in its opening this year. So those are your top three. Wicked for Good also, well, it broke a record for fantasy adventure sequel openings. As I told you, sequels and definitely part twos of movies generally don't outpace the first one. And now this is a fantasy adventure sequel opening record for this movie as well. Such movies in that category, they average an opening of $46 million. And Wicked, of course, blew that out of the water this weekend as well. So Hollywood, it's coming off a historically slow October. Octobers are generally slow in movie theaters, getting ready for the holiday movies coming up. But the overall box office is now 3.3% ahead of last year's earnings. Now they're doing this from obviously November 1st to November 23rd are where we're getting these numbers right now, according to ComScore data. The domestic box office, it's grossed about $7.5 billion just this year as well. And that number actually means that the box office could exceed the $9 billion mark by the time the 2025 year ends. The milestone of the $9 billion, well, that was previously reached in 2023. That was the first time in the post-pandemic year that it hit that $9 billion number. So it used to be a staple to hit that number, and it's been kind of rare since the pandemic, right? And it could hit it this year as well. There's a lot of movies coming out that can boost this. There's a lot of movies that'll do $20, $30 million in opening and, $60 million overall. But in terms of big staples to hit that $9 billion number, right? Thanksgiving weekend, you got Zootopia 2 opening up, which should be a hit there with families taking their kids to that movie as well. Well, they're hoping to get similar success from last year's Mona 2 that came out in that same weekend time as well. Mona grossed about $460 million at the domestic box office. So anything close to that obviously is huge money here for the movie coming out, Zootopia 2. Disney also has a big movie coming out that's expected to dominate the pre-Christmas weekend here in a month. That's the Avatar Fire and Ash, which I can't wait for. I love these. I like just the visual spectacles of these Avatar movies when they come out. They are just gorgeous to watch. Forget about the story side of it. They're just gorgeous movies to watch in terms of what they do with the storytelling, the visuals on the screen. I can't wait for that one coming up as well. So box office is healthy. We'll see if it gets to that $9 billion number to hit that 2023 for the second time, or hit that number for the second time since 2023 with these movies coming out as well. So now let's get you the update here, right, on this downtown historical housing neighborhood. Bill that's out there, and it's about the Phoenix City Council. Well, the Phoenix City Council has now unanimously approved, and this is that middle housing ordinance, is what they're calling it, right? So this could change the look of Phoenix's historic neighborhoods. Right now, like we're here in downtown Phoenix, you drive down here, you got houses from the early 1900s just lining the roads down here, right? And everything. Well, that could change here coming up. The plan that's been passed here by the Phoenix City Council aligns with a new state law, and it allows multifamily homes in areas within a mile of the city's downtown area. Yes. Opal Wagner is the co-chair of Safe Historic Arizona. So, um, you know, not very happy about this, obviously. They're trying to go down to the wire to have to adopt this significant change in the Phoenix zoning laws, is kind of what the argument was. And look, you're gonna raise historical houses that you generally can't take down, and they're very restrictive on what you can do to upgrade it as well. You're gonna be able to take one of those down and build a new multifamily, like a duplex on it as well. Yes. Mm. So they're trying to get it narrowed down and everything for those historical units. And because the risk is here, there's going to be more development of middle housing across the whole Phoenix area without any limitations out there. So they're trying to get this only in the historical area right now. So it is fascinating to see. But Phoenix City Council unanimously agreed to allow that middle housing to go into effect. The new legislation could create a carve out in the state law exempting historic neighborhoods from the middle housing ordinance, which is they're hoping to get through. And I tend to agree with that. Leave the historic buildings alone. Look, we're a newer city, right? Haven't been around for a long time, and we always raise the old historic stuff to put up newer stuff, which isn't always better out there, right? And it's all because of how close these historic neighborhoods are here to downtown Phoenix. Is kind of the battle there. So we do have an update that was unanimously passed by the Phoenix City Council as well, and then there's the Western Governors Association conference this year. And it's already happened. It was last week, but the I guess the theme of it was, quote, superabundance was the queen. I don't I don't know if that's a good theme there when you're going to a governor's, right, a governor's meeting. But they're basically met and they talked about the energy industries within the states. Much of the talks focused on the lack of energy to meet rising demand, which is not just largely, it is mainly being created by the AI data centers that are coming here in Arizona. And we as citizens and homeowners are paying the price for big conglomerates to come in, billion dollar, trillion dollar companies to come in, build data centers, and we have to up our water and utility rates because of them out there. So they had a big discussion here in the governor's meeting here, and it highlights some differences in opinion between the governors and the Trump administration on how to best address the deficit here between the AIs and the energy needed for those businesses. For instance, Utah Governor Spencer Cox, he's a Republican, and he chairs this governors association. He said states need to take in all of the above approach that utilizes both new technology and older ones. So he's talking about nuclear power, right? Is what he's talking about in order to meet the rising needs. And then to ensure that costs don't skyrocket for the average residents out there, which we are seeing right now. Absolutely. So in the keynote address, U.S. Interior Secretary Doug Burgum, said that the Trump administration, they're all involved on this, and their policies focus more on increasing energy output and less on regulating it or even transitioning to different energy types out there as well. Katie Hobbs was part of this, obviously, being a governor. And, it's reading into the story. It is concerning to me how many governors are just like, hey, we'll just allow prices to keep getting raised for average residents while these $1 trillion companies, they just cut the checks, right? Out there. So, I'll have to keep worrying about those energy prices that keep skyrocketing on us out there. And now let's look ahead, right? Thanksgiving's coming up on Thursday. Maybe you went grocery shopping. I was at the grocery store at 1 o'clock on Friday when I left here, and it was packed. But people were getting their Thanksgiving day on last Friday, right? And everything that they need for that. Turkeys galore being put into baskets. And, so we told you about federal numbers in terms of what's happening for the turkey and the cost of dinner here on your table. I got some Arizona numbers here for you if you're still going out there to buy your stuff for this week and everything. So you will see costs go slightly down actually compared to last year as well here in Arizona. A turkey dinner with all the trimmings. It's going to cost $53.17 for an Arizona family of 10, which I said is about $5.31 a person, right? We got these numbers from the Arizona Farm Bureau out there. That cost is down 21 cents from last year, where the Thanksgiving dinner cost $53.38 for a family of 10. So the national average cost for a Thanksgiving dinner, well, it's $55.18. That's also down nationwide as well. The average last year was $58.12 nationally. The Arizona Farm Bureau survey factored in the cost of dinner using a shopping list. It included items found at a typical Thanksgiving meal. So this is what it included in case you're wondering how they get to that number. Turkey, stuffing, sweet potatoes, rolls with butter, peas and cranberries, and that's enough for 10 people, right? A veggie tray, milk, pumpkin pies with whipped cream. So that's how they factored in these numbers out there. The cost of a 16-pound turkey bought in Arizona was $18.89, about $1.18 per pound. That was down 47 cents, from last year's price of $19.36 on that 16-pound turkey. So you are getting less money. You're spending, like I said, not a ton, but everything helps out there. If you haven't gone grocery shopping yet, you can see some cheaper prices out there on these items going in to Thursday here for the Thanksgiving holiday. And folks, I appreciate you joining me here at McCollum on Business here on this Monday edition. I'll be back tomorrow on Tuesday here of the short week. We'll get some more updates as we look into Wednesday on where we stand here on McCollum on Business. We do know the main event will be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I'll give you the update on Wednesday here for this show tomorrow. But we're here tomorrow, so come and join us live at 11 o'clock. If you miss us live, catch us Robat TV, the YouTube page as well. We'd love to see you and share us with your friends, would you? This one here, this show is my passion project, the one I do just for the love of business and getting that news out there, and it keeps me involved in it. And so appreciate you sharing me with everybody out there as well. And we'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Have a great Monday evening.